What is it? I don't know what I know vitamin D as a hormone from the sun.
No, when people say vitamin D, it means they need...
Oh, do they need...
Yeah.
This is going to be the best outtake ever.
I tried so hard not to laugh. I don't know why.
I'm the last person to know. I'm the last person to know. I am going to have to talk about vitamin D. So this is serious.
Talk about real vitamin D. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Spread the Juice. And today I've got a really special guest, firstly, and we're going to touch on a much more serious topic, and that is to mainly raise awareness of skin cancer. So today in the hot seat, I've got Sophie Barrett, who is my mentor and brand specialist, who I've known for about 25 years. How are you, Soph?
I am so good. Thank you for having me
Thank
today.
you so much for coming. So should we just start a little bit about you? Obviously, you went to school with my sister.
Yes.
Yeah, you go for it.
Yeah, no. So I went to school with your sister. I've known you since you were probably about 11.
Yeah.
And you approached me about three years ago to start that kind of rebrand, image consultation. And then we started working together a couple of months ago.
I know. And it's been so perfect because obviously there's just underlying trust there and you know me so well and it just feels so natural.
Yeah. And I've always respected, you know, what you're doing. You are an amazing businesswoman and you've grown this platform yourself to like over 15 million views.
Yeah, it's crazy and it's only going to be more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want you to kind of direct the podcast in a sense of sharing your expertise with everybody. But if you want to start by saying what they are, and of course, one important part of this podcast, what I want to say now is that me and Sophie both experienced skin cancer and both had quite bad experiences, particularly you, very traumatic. So yeah, we just want to basically raise awareness for everybody, and hopefully by the end of this podcast, you go and get things checked. We don't want to put fear into people, but if anything, fear that you do go and get things checked because, you know, once things are removed, it could just be gone. So,
exactly. So I think May every year is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and what happened to me was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. So again, I'll tell my story.
Can you say your job first and then?
Of course.
I'd love to know.
So I actually changed career in my early 30s and I've been in the wellness industry now for 15 years, but I used to work in the fashion industry. So I had an amazing career, which I loved, building brands like Urban Outfitters,
sick.
Joseph, Links of London, Me&M, which is now a super brand. And I changed career in my early 30s because I burnt out, basically. I loved my old career, but there was always an inner calling to look at preventative health and natural health. And even when I left uni, so I did an arts degree at Northumbria, and even when I left uni and I started my first job in the fashion industry, I started a weekend course in naturopathic nutrition in my early 20s.
Oh my God.
So it was always there, and it was just coming back to what I really wanted to do for the next few decades.
So you've always wanted to do it?
It was always there.
In the pipeline.
It was always there. Even as a little girl, I was extremely sensitive to people's health and well-being, and from a natural perspective. So I retrained as a medical herbalist and a naturopath. So that took 5 years, 500 clinic hours. I did that at CNM, the College of...
500 hours?
500 clinic hours. So this is actually an important distinction for people because there's lots of people out there that can do short courses and say they're a herbalist or a naturopath, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to have clinical experience, and you're only going to get get insurance as a medical herbalist and a naturopath if you've done a degree level course and had that clinical experience. So I got a lot of experience in a student clinic. I had some amazing cases. And then once I'd graduated, I set up my own private practice.
So what does naturopath mean?
That's a very good question because it's actually more well known in Australia. So they take naturopathic medicine very seriously in Australia, partly to do with their surroundings, all of the natural flora and fauna there. But naturopaths basically have these set of beliefs or principles that we see the person as a whole, so mind, body, and spirit. And we believe, given the right support, the body can heal naturally.
Yeah.
So I'm working with a lot of herbs. I'm working with a lot of food. I'm working with lifestyle medicine. So a naturopath is someone who will bring you back into balance using herbs, food, diet, lifestyle, and help you heal from a mind, body, spirit perspective.
Yeah. So do you think that with the things that you can do naturally, you can actually help things like cancer, like deep cancer?
100%. So a naturopath's approach would be to support the individual from an immune standpoint, from a gut health standpoint, from a dietary standpoint, to really help them eliminate toxins in the body and create the right environment in order to heal.
So does this mean, would you say, are you against like what hospitals do?
Not at all. I think in this day and age, we need both. We need conventional medicine alongside a natural approach, and the two can complement each other very well.
Yeah. Does the NHS offer any natural?
It is offering more. It's really opening it up. You can get acupuncture on the NHS. You can get nutritional support on the NHS. I don't think you can yet see a herbalist on the NHS. Sorry, everyone watching.
They can come see you instead.
Yeah, you can come and see me. And most herbalists try and be accessible to the public from a price perspective, because if you look back at herbal medicine over the ages, there was generally a female herbalist in every community, in every village, someone who respected the plants, who knew how to work with the plants to support people. It's one of the oldest forms of medicine.
That's such a beautiful thing, and that should still happen.
I think it is. It's going back that way.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks to people like you. So let's go on the skin cancer journey. So we'll start with yours, because yours is definitely, you've had a lot of trauma with that, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. And I wanted to wait until I was strong enough to talk about it. And I think it's the right time to talk about it. So I was first diagnosed with a form of skin cancer called a BCC, so a basal cell carcinoma, which is a very common form of skin cancer. And it's
sorry to interrupt you, but were you instantly, because I know that they misdiagnosed you before, did they ever say it was nothing?
Yes. I had private health in my late 20s because I was working for a big fashion brand, and my boyfriend at the time had noticed a tiny speck, like a blackhead here, but it was like a blackhead with a pearly raised bubble of skin on it. So he wanted to go in and squeeze it. We lived together at the time, and I was like, don't touch my face.
Was it tiny?
It was tiny. So I don't know if the camera can see my
just point it
mole here. It was probably a third of the size.
So like a dot.
A tiny black dot. But the important point was it had this pearly, almost like mother of pearl, shiny bubble of skin over it. And it was like nothing else on my body, because I'm not actually that moly. I'm not actually that freckly. And yes, I look blonde to the camera, but I'm actually, I've actually got dark brown hair.
Yeah.
So, it looked unusual, and my boyfriend at the time, we'd been living together for years, he said, I think you should go get that checked out. And I wanted to get something else, a mark on my leg, checked out. So I went to a dermatologist, very good dermatologist on Harley Street at the time. And he said it was nothing. And he wrote it down in his notes. And I remember it. So that was age 28. And then I went off and took an amazing opportunity in Asia. So I lived in Thailand. On an island called Koh Samui for 2 years.
Lovely.
Working for a wellness sanctuary. And it was there that I got something called dengue fever. So that's probably the most sick I've been in my life. And I was hospitalized. And I'd say about 6 months after the dengue fever, this tiny speck started playing up. So I thought it was my sunglasses rubbing, because I was wearing sunglasses a lot and I was sweating a lot, and I thought it was chafing and rubbing. So the first indication I got that something wasn't right was this tiny speck would form a little scab, and then it would disappear and it would look like there was nothing there. And so it would form this cyclical scab, but you'd kind of forget about it because for weeks it would look fine, like there was nothing there. And I was coming back to the UK twice a year, and I was on a 2-year contract. So when I came back to the UK, I went to see the GP, and by then this had become something. So it was like what some dermatitis would look like. It was like a bigger scab.
So was the actual blackness of it bigger, or was that
there was no blackness, and now it was literally like a scab.
So when you say it looked like a blackhead,
originally it looked like a blackhead.
So the black went
with a pearly raised thing of skin, and that went.
But the pearly bit stayed.
That went.
Everything went,
and it's just started scabbing over. So I went to the GP, and the GP said, oh, it's dermatitis or it's eczema. And I said, no, it's not. I said, I don't fit that profile. I've never had skin issues like that. I've never had dermatitis. I've never had eczema. And I said then and there, I wanted to go and see a dermatologist, a specialist, but I didn't have private health anymore.
So this was a private doctor and an NHS doctor both told you that it's nothing to worry about.
She wanted me to use a type of steroid, a type of cream. And I said, no, that's a sticking plaster. That's not going to work. I want this properly checked out.
Yeah. And do you think without your knowledge, you would have probably just done what they said and used a steroid?
If I wasn't the person I am, because I've never been someone who wants to use those chemical creams, then if I'd been someone else, I would have just trusted her and taken a cream.
Because you would, because you're in the doctors. And I mean, I would use a cream. If I went somewhere and I was worried and they said, just use this cream, it's nothing, I'd be like, oh, thank God, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But you trusted your gut and you knew.
I knew. And I'm not one of those people that's particularly confrontational, but I knew I had to stand up for myself with that GP. And she said, well, you don't have private health right now, so it's going to take you 6 months to see a dermatologist. And I said, that's not good enough. I actually paid to go privately. So I saw that original dermatologist I'd seen on Harley Street a month later. And unfortunately, I was by myself. So my parents were out of the country. I didn't have a partner at the time. I didn't think to get someone to go to this appointment with me. So that's what I'd advise you to do, is get someone to go with you, to be your ears and your eyes, and to support you. So I went by myself, paid to go privately, and he looked at his notes, he looked at my face, and he went white like a ghost. So he knew then and there it was skin cancer. He could tell. He felt incredibly bad.
So from the point that you saw it to the point where you finally got the diagnosis, how long was that?
Probably about 4 years.
4 years, yeah. So and that's all because you were told that it's nothing.
So I have actually had taken legal advice and had lawyers look at the case, and it's very hard to tell if it was something when I originally went age 28. It definitely became something in Asia when my immune system had hit rock bottom from the dengue fever. So it definitely became something there. So I don't think it was necessarily a misdiagnosis originally age 28, but I like a preventative approach, and if he had just taken it out
then and there,
then I don't think it ever would have become a problem. And I know certainly from speaking to friends of mine who have dodgy moles in other countries, they just take them out. They don't hesitate, they take them out.
Why not,
So the GP certainly misdiagnosed it, but I went privately. I had a biopsy, and then the results came back within a week, and I couldn't afford to then have the surgery privately, so I went back into the NHS, and that's when things really got interesting.
So he went white as a ghost, and then from there, how soon did you then, how was that, what process was that?
So he did a biopsy then and there, so it was a very short appointment, so it was a very rushed appointment, and he said, you'll get the results within a week. And he actually called me the next day to apologize and said, I'm sorry, that was really rushed. You'll find out within a week. And
So then
it was a tricky situation because it was quite a large site. So it wasn't going to be straightforward surgery. So honestly, this is at the point where I don't want to scare people, because this was a delayed diagnosis. So by now, what could have been handled completely differently, it couldn't now be handled with small surgery. This was a big site, and they were going to need to do a type of surgery called Mohs, which I was very lucky to have, because this was 10 years ago and it had only been in use for a few years, which is great for extracting the least amount of flesh on an area like the face. So I was going to have a procedure via Mohs to make sure they got it all out. And then I needed another surgeon who was a cosmetic repair surgeon to repair the damage. So on private health, that probably would have cost 25,000, and I didn't have anything like that. So I got pushed back into the NHS, but it was a slow process, and to align the two surgeons took time, and the delays were they were pretty unforgivable.
That's terrible, because it's just getting worse as the time goes on.
So legally, and again, this is about 10 years ago, legally, if it's that close to your eyeball, they need to get it out within 6 weeks. And it still took them 3 months to do the surgery. So it was a very uncomfortable waiting game.
I'm not surprised. So how much did they have to cut out?
So the Mohs surgery is where the surgeon will go in and imagine loaf of bread, and you know how you cut the loaf of bread into slices. So that's what they're doing with Mohs. They're taking a slice off, they're then testing it under a microscope to see if there's any cancer cells still left. So in my case, I had to have 2 excavations. So that took about 2 hours. I was bandaged up and sitting in a waiting room. They're obviously giving you anesthetic, so it wasn't a painful procedure. And that took 2 goes to get it all out. So in my case...
was it like, how big? Because when you think about it, the actual spot on your skin, small, but underneath, it's a lot, isn't it?
So by now, it was quite big. So the scabby area was probably the size of between a 10p piece. And the actual excavation was about the size of my eyeball. So if you think how an eyeball goes back
3D,
so I was left with a crater here in my face, which is why I needed the repair surgery. So that was then the day later. So I could actually go home bandaged up that night after the first surgery, the Mohs, and then I came back for the major surgery the next day. So that's where, and again, I don't want to trigger anyone. So
no, but I think it's important
if
people
it's
know.
too gory, you can switch off. So the repair work, I had an amazing surgeon. Again, I'm not going to name any names, but he had to make a decision what to do to fill in this crater. And, you know, being a girl in my early 30s, I was single at the time. You can think about the emotional trauma here, you know.
Absolutely.
Am I going to be able to work again? Am I going to be able to work in the fashion industry? Am I going to be able to show my face? Will anyone fall in love with me?
Yeah, of course, That's just, horrible thoughts that you must have had to deal with at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly grateful that I had...
Okay, so,
I'm good. I'm good. But I'm incredibly grateful that I had, this through the NHS, because there's other countries in the world where you wouldn't get this.
Yeah, of course.
So the second surgery was performed and they had to cut down my smile line and across here. So they actually had to take some cartilage from my ear to fill in the hole. And they'd created this skin flap by cutting along here and down here. And
don't worry, but if you need a minute,
it's all good.
It's all good. Yeah.
And so the issue here was that the skin flap didn't take. So this was very unusual. So what again should have been incredibly straightforward surgery became challenging. So the surgeons didn't understand why this was happening. So the easiest way to explain it, and again, it's not something I talked about because this really doesn't happen in day-to-day life. So for anyone watching, this is not going to happen to you, honestly. This is very rare.
Yeah.
So the easiest way I can explain what went wrong in the surgery was, imagine you're playing tennis on a grass court. And when they have to patch up the grass, so they get a new bit of grass to patch it up. And thank you. And in my case, the skin, which was my skin, it was my skin flap, wasn't taking. So it's like that patch of grass, for some reason, isn't taking. So the capillaries, which is the fine network blood supply, wasn't reconnecting. And the doctors to this day don't understand why. I have my opinions on this, obviously, but it meant that when I came round from this 5-hour surgery, I was put in a ward by myself. They were extremely concerned and the skin wasn't taking. So this whole area here was turning black, which is something called necrosis, which is when the blood supply is not getting to the flesh. So the flesh is dying. And once necrosis sets in, they say it becomes irreversible. So you've got a finite amount of time to sort out this blood supply issue. So thankfully, these surgeons made a decision to use a very old form of medicine with me. So I had a conversation with them and they said, how do you feel about having leech therapy? And being a medical herbalist, I like natural things. And I basically owe this side of my face repairing itself to having these leeches in hospital. So I was leeched for 7 days, which is about the maximum time you can be leeched for without becoming anemic.
Explain what that is, because that,
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And they don't really use it nowadays. So the nurses were a bit surprised. They didn't know really what to do. So basically the leeches have this incredible effect. So they release a natural anticoagulant, which is a blood thinner. So because they'd sealed my skin flap, they had to pinprick and make a little hole so the blood would come out. So the leech would go on as a tiny little dancing leech, and then it would see the blood, connect with the blood, and then it would
suck the blood.
So basically it was enjoying having a nice meal.
Where did they get the leeches from?
They're farmed especially, so they have to be in this clear like jelly, nutrient jelly. So I think each leech probably costs about £50. So in a way I had probably a £5,000 luxury facial. Probably. Someone like Demi Moore probably has this.
It all regular.
So basically they were hoping this sucking action, so the leech sucking the blood and releasing an anticoagulant to thin the blood, would get my natural capillaries to rejoin, so to get the blood pumping, to get it moving and to stimulate the blood flow. And then we didn't know for 10 weeks if it had worked.
God, that 10 weeks must have been just awful, having to wait to know.
It was. And, you know, this is why I didn't want to speak out about it, because I didn't want to scare anyone. You know, it's so unusual what happened to me. You know, the nurses didn't see this kind of thing in hospital. You don't see this kind of thing in hospital, and it is all preventable. If you get the right diagnosis early on, it's a very, very small surgery.
Like mine. Yeah.
Like yours.
But so the leeches worked?
The leeches worked.
So that was it? So the leeches...
That was it. No further surgery.
Well, that just shows the natural way works. No, but that is amazing. Yeah. I mean, it must have been awful waking up to having leeches sucking on your face, though. Even though you like the natural thing, that must be quite scary.
It was very scary, but you go into survival mode. Literally, something kicks in and you take control of the situation, you know. I remember my mum taking one of the nurses aside saying, you can't show fear in front of Sophie because she's being strong. Like, you know, so I went into like this really...
Like, you've got to get through this kind of mode.
And I found this incredible inner strength. And, you know, I always knew I had that deep down, but that's really, you know, you learn from these things.
Absolutely. What an amazing story. And I think you look beautiful. You can't, does it bother you still?
I don't go out without makeup on. So I'm happy to be makeup free around my husband, around my close family. But you won't find me going to the supermarket without makeup on. Just because in the winter, I think I look like a member of X-Men.
X-Men, that's a vibe.
It is a vibe. Like, my husband says you should like make a thing of it.
But it's worse in your head. Do you think?
It's worse in my head. It's worse in my head. But if you saw me without makeup on, particularly in cold weather, then it would be like a white butterfly wing. So it would be very stand out. And also if I was like running, like the blood flow goes to other parts of the face, but not to this distinct part. But the surgeons were amazing because I have full use of my face. My face is still pretty symmetrical when you consider what was done, and the nerve endings did come back. So I had a very numb face for a long time, but the nerve endings did come back. The body, given the right support, can heal. So
why doesn't the blood go there? Why does it go white?
So I think they still don't know, and they can't give me answers on this. But if I had the opportunity to redesign hospitals and the healing setting, one of the things I would say is that people need to be earthed. They need to be grounded. So I don't know if you've heard of like... people going and taking off their shoes and walking. The earth gives off this natural frequency healing energy. And I was put on a top floor, I think I was on the 5th floor of the hospital, on a metal table. So you understand why they're doing this from a hygiene perspective. But I was so far off the ground. I'd gone through a 5-hour surgery. They'd had to wake me up with a lot of adrenaline. I'd had a lot of drugs in my body, and I think my body was in survival mode. So I think the blood was going to my vital organs, like my liver and my lungs. And when you're in this survival fight or flight mode, the body doesn't worry about the skin. It's the last thing. The blood is not going to the skin. So I think that's what was happening. And I think if they'd been able to earth me or ground me, so you can get these earthing sheets, which I would love to use. I've never used, but I have heard they're great at helping the healing process. So I think, you know, hospitals could be redesigned to allow optimum healing.
So what do you think would have, or tell me if you know, what would have happened if the leech therapy didn't work?
I would have, according to the specialists and the surgeons, had to have had a repeat surgery. So that was a very real option. I didn't want to have a repeat surgery, and there was no guarantee that my skin would take a second time. The surgeons did say that the body would recognize what to do a second time, but there's no guarantee. So I was incredibly lucky that it did heal.
I think that the main point here is, like you keep saying, not to be scared, but to just be aware of your body and just get things checked. And before we move on, I'll just briefly go over my experience to give a kind of example of 2 experiences. So I had a lump, as you know, because I sent it to you. And even you thought it was nothing, but everyone did. So did I. So I had a small lump on my forehead, and it was tiny little white lump. It looked like, it did look a bit pearly, but it was white. It just, I didn't know what it was, to be honest with you. I even thought it was one of those things.
It looked like a kind of fatty deposit.
Yeah, it looked like one of those things
that doesn't sound very nice.
That sounds horrible, but it wasn't nice. It was worse. It was cancer. But no, it looked like, I don't know, one of those things that old people have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't nice. But it was small, and I just thought nothing of it at first. And I thought, after time went on, I was like, it's still there. It's still annoying me. And I don't know, with my terrible memory and my ADHD and all the things wrong with me, I kept putting it off. I thought I should get it checked, but I kept putting it off. Anyway, about sort of 4 months in, I asked one of my doctors, I was like, I'm worried about this. What do you think it is? And he was like, no, that's nothing. Promise you that's nothing. Literally. I was like, okay, put it to the back of my head. A few months later, it was still there. Went back to my doctor, asked the same question, and he just reassured me it was absolutely nothing, and that if I wanted to, this is a private doctor, like if I wanted to take it off, I could pay X amount, like £2,000 or something, and get it taken off, but it's nothing. So I left it. Then I think about a year had gone by now, and it started to hurt. And I thought, like when I was washing my face with a flannel, it started to feel a bit like, almost like I had a bit of glass in my forehead when the flannel hit it. I was like, this isn't normal. And it was getting a bit bigger. So I went to the GP, and I've walked into the GP, really old-fashioned GP, with a older lady there who I think judged me instantly, because she instantly told me it was nothing, and without me saying anything told me, and you can't get it removed for cosmetic reasons because we don't cover that. And I instantly was raged. Like, I haven't even mentioned the fact that I want it removed for any reason. Yes, I didn't like how it looked like, but my main concern was my health. So probably because I was so mad, I just said, no, I want to get a proper check. I need to go to the hospital. I don't want to trust what you say, basically, in a nice way. And she said, well, I can send you there for a photo, but that's all I can send you there for. You won't see a dermatologist. And I was like, that's fine. Send me there for whatever you can. So she sent me there, and I went, and they took a photo of it, but with like a really, I don't know if you had this, but it was like a really deep camera. They put it on your skin, and it does loads of different.
I never had that.
Really? Yeah. Maybe it's a new thing, but they put it on, and it kind of like, it touches it. They press hard on it, and it, I don't know, it might be like an X-ray for it or something. Yeah. They took that photo, and then within 2 days, I had an email saying I was on the urgent cancer list to get it removed.
Yeah.
And they said, we need to take it off. They said, we're pretty sure it is, but we just need to take it off as soon as possible. So I went, and I had the operation. I got, it was small, and I've got this cut on my head, which actually is quite, you can't really see it now. They cut it off, and then, within a few days, they told me that was cancer. It's good that you took it off. Make sure you check everything. And they said that it's 50% likely to come back in 5 years' time, which is a bit annoying.
They said it was 50% likely?
Yeah. Gosh. Within 5 years, which means probably ever would be more.
Yeah, I'd like to know which type it was.
Yeah, I need to check which type it was. But the weird thing is they didn't ask me to come back for a check or anything. So I feel like, again, my point to explain my story is to be assertive and trust your gut and make sure you check for you, because these doctors, I can't say, you know, some are great, some aren't, but they see so many people every day and they might not care about everyone the same. You have to care about yourself.
This is the thing. This is the thing. They have a finite amount of time with each patient. They're so busy. And we had surgery in the same hospital. I won't mention the hospital, but they're now using AI, I think, because they get 7,000 skin cancer inquiries a month. And so this just shows how busy they are. Yeah. And the one we talked about on my face was my first one. But I found my second one. So they didn't find it when they were doing body checks. I found my second one, which was on my collarbone, which luckily they got out. It was a really small procedure. Yeah. And for most people, that's what it would be like. Yes. But then very recently, so the time you had your first one, I found my third one, and I have annual skin cancer checkups. And a year ago, my specialist, who knows my case, he knows my body, he said it was nothing.
I can't believe it. why when it's your third and they were wrong before?
And he said, we'll wait a year. So I went back a year later in floods of tears because by now I knew it was something. So this one was in my scalp and I had it biopsied in December and it came back as a BCC. So this is why you have to advocate for yourself.
Absolutely. And yeah, trust your gut. But this is just an example of two people that have had skin cancer, and also within your own ones, how differently it can go simply by making sure that you get it sorted out, because it can kill you. Like he said to me, if you don't get it off, it can kill you. But if you do get it off, it's easy. They just take it off and it's gone.
Exactly. And I think, the ones around your forehead and your scalp, there's very little flesh to play with. So that's what I would say is if you notice something and the first specialist says it's nothing, go and get a second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you had people come to you for cancer treatments?
So I see all types of people within my private clinic. I decided not to specialize because as a medical herbalist, the best way to learn is to see people. Yeah. And also my practice is looking at the root cause. So someone can come to me with a name of a pathology and that doesn't mean that they have the same root cause as someone else. So it's my job to do the detective work and to find out why it is showing up as this set of presenting symptoms. So I see young children as young as 3 and then the very elderly. I think my eldest client is in their 70s at the moment. So I see a whole cross section. I see lots of females with autoimmune conditions. I see people with digestive issues. I see people with skin issues. That could be rosacea. You know, I see just lots of stressed out people with lots of inflammation in the body, mental health issues.
Yeah, mental health. Let's touch on that one because I think that's so, I mean, everything's relevant, but it's such a hot topic at the moment. So what can you help with and how? Like for me, for example, you know me so well. And I've got anxiety and blah, 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 a bit of depression here and there. And I just struggle a lot. So if I was to come to you, which actually I should.
I don't think you're allowed. No, we have to keep a boundary there. Okay. I try not to see friends and family within my clinic. Okay. So in your case, I'd probably refer you on. Yeah. But I'd give you a bit of friendly advice.
Okay. If it was someone who acts like me, it wasn't me, what would you say or offer, or what is there out there?
Well, I'll tell you what would happen in a consultation, because I think a lot of people don't know what happens in a herbal naturopathic consultation. And it's kind of like a really in-depth interview and chat. So, you know, it could be an hour, the first consultation, even an hour and a half. So we take a full case history and you have the opportunity to say, look, these are the things, the health challenges I'm going through. You know, lots of people have a long list. It's never just one thing. But anxiety comes up a lot. And so I take a whole case history. We look at every organ system in the body, lots of questioning. We look at diet, we look at sleep.
Diet must be such a huge thing. Yeah.
We look at even how you were born, you know. So a lot of people don't know. They have to ask their mum, was I born by a cesarean section? Was I breastfed? Like, what conventional medicines did I have? Did I have a lot of antibiotics? Was I vaccinated? All of these things. And that's putting together an amazing health picture. Yeah. But it's also considering the emotional side, and stress always has a huge part to play in different pathologies.
Have you noticed that people who have had a lot of antibiotics and a lot of chemical medicines, have you noticed a difference in maybe their stress levels, anxiety, or how their body is?
A huge difference. Yeah. So, you know, if someone's on antibiotics, it really affects their gut microbiota. So there's definitely a time and a place for antibiotics, and antibiotics can be life-saving. But you need to do the repair work. So if you've done a course of antibiotics, you really need to work on your gut and your gut health to improve your immunity and your immune system, because a lot of our immune system is found in the gut.
Yeah.
And gut health affects mental health and emotional health. So I'll give you a really good example. My mum was put on really strong antibiotics, just a short course, and I saw her personality change within a couple of days. She became very angry, like both my dad and I were like, whoa, what's going on? And it was the antibiotics, because they were affecting her gut microbiota. So that's the natural balance of microbes in the gut, and you have good and bad ones. And this affects everything. This affects mood. This affects mental health. So I generally always support the gut. So if someone comes to me with mental and emotional health issues, I will always address their digestion, their diet, but I will also do a lot of liver support, because our livers are exposed to so many things nowadays that they just weren't exposed to. Toxins in the water, in our beauty products, in our food. So the liver needs a lot of support, because also the liver is where we process anger and we process emotions. So naturopaths and herbalists do a lot of detox protocols. We do a lot of cleansing protocols, but some people are too depleted. So we do very nourishing, fortifying protocols, and we work with lots of calming and anti-anxiety herbs to rebalance.
Is that what you mean by support? Is it herbs, and how does it work?
And I also specialize in functional mushrooms.
Oh yes. I'm scared of the mushrooms. I don't know why I'm scared of them.
No, I understand it. Basically, I work with functional mushrooms, which are also known as medicinal mushrooms. So that's my specialist area. So I consult for an amazing Spanish company that are mycologists and biologists. So they've been doing this for 26 years. So you're right to be cautious, because medicinal mushrooms have become mainstream, and it's all about quality, safety, and efficacy. But for everyone watching, I'm not talking about magic mushrooms. I'm not talking about psilocybin. That's still illegal.
I think that's
in
why
the
I'm
UK.
scared of them.
And you know, that's fair enough. So I don't
work in my time when I was young.
I don't work with magic mushrooms. I work with functional mushrooms that have been used in traditional Chinese medicine and ancient cultures for thousands of years. And basically what they do is they bring the body back into balance. So they're known as adaptogens. So they help us adapt to stress. They help us adapt to modern life. And reishi, for instance, I think would be a really good one for you, because it's very anti-anxiety. I actually take it in concentrated extract form in the morning, because I'm juggling lots of different things, and it allows me to remain calm so I can focus.
Oh, that's so good.
So we do use it in cases of ADHD. We pair it often with another functional mushroom that lots of people will have heard of, called lion's mane.
Yeah, I've heard of lion's mane.
And that's very good for the gut. So that's helping bring the gut back into balance. And with reishi, the two work very well together for children and adults, as long as there's no pre-existing mushroom allergy.
So could you, and do you test for any pre-existing mushroom allergy, or is it just if you're allergic to mushrooms?
Usually the adults know. So they've usually tried a cooked culinary mushroom, but with children you have to ask the parent to try them on a bit of cooked mushroom. That could be white chestnut mushroom, button mushroom, because, you know, as a child, I didn't eat mushrooms. I was like,
mushrooms.
What are these things? And now I really enjoy them, and there's huge benefit in eating them.
Sure. So is it different to microdosing? Is that different?
Completely different.
Okay, because I'm scared of that.
Completely different.
That is magic mushrooms, isn't it?
That's magic mushrooms, and I'm talking about medicinal mushrooms. So they're two different families. They're two different species. So the ones I work with don't contain any psilocybin, and microdosing is with psilocybin.
What do you think about microdosing?
To be honest, I've attended a lot of lectures from professors. There's a guy called Professor Nutt. There's a guy called Dr. Sam Gandhi. They are specialists in that area, but it's still an unregulated industry, and I'm not sure that the path to bringing it into safe use legal use in the UK is there yet. I think it's still a long way off. So I know other countries.
Oh, is it not legal here? Oh.
It's not legal here. It's not legal here. I think they've got more accessibility in Australia and in the Netherlands, and they're definitely running incredible studies with the ex-US military servicemen who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and they are getting very good results with post-traumatic stress ex-military men. So there will 100% be a place for it in the future. Yeah. People have just got to work to bring it in safely.
And maybe work out the balance of how much a microdose actually is and stuff.
Yeah, that's not there yet.
Because you can't just start taking little bits and then accidentally tripping out at work.
No. So, I mean, I've never tried it. Yeah. I certainly need to keep up with the research because I'm getting asked about it all the time.
Yeah. I remember when, this is a little bit, it's not the same at all, but I remember when I was 15, I actually walked into a shop when I was 15, 20 years ago. You could actually buy magic mushrooms over the counter. So it's gone from that to being completely illegal to now coming back, but in a more healthy way, which is actually great because, that wasn't safe. What else did I want to ask you? I wanted to ask you, so if someone has ADHD, okay, I've got ADHD, as you know, and I do take medicine. How do you call the one I'm taking? Chemical medicine or what?
Conventional medicine, so prescribed by a doctor.
Yeah. And I like it. It really does help me kind of organize myself, because before I take it, my brain is trying to do a million things at once. And then it kind of helps me put it in order. But a side effect is I feel really rushy sometimes, like a little bit like I'm on drugs when I definitely don't want to be. And I just feel like I wish I could get that without the side effect. Do you think that your kind of remedies for things like ADHD, I mean, I presume they don't have that kind of rushy feeling?
They don't. So we have a mushroom in our dispensary called cordyceps, which is known as the mushroom of energy and vitality. So that's going to be the functional mushroom that some people with ADHD use to have the stimulus and the input to act and take action and not procrastinate and get on with their day. Yeah. And the amazing thing about cordyceps is it gives you sustained energy. It's not going to give you the jitters. It's not like coffee on its own,
Yeah, for sure.
So cordyceps could be a really great ally for people with ADHD because you're going to get this natural sustained energy. I personally would still use it alongside the reishi and the lion's mane, so you get this lovely balancing effect of calming, gut support and energy focus. So those are the three mushrooms I would turn to, and they can be used safely alongside conventional medicine because the company I work for has done extensive studies to show they don't affect the drug-liver pathway.
That was going to be my next question, if you can take it alongside.
Yeah, but again, I would say always speak to a specialist, like we're talking today because we know each other, but always speak to a health specialist, take advice, because with conventional medicines, you can't a lot of herbal products will affect the conventional medicines.
Absolutely, So I feel like I definitely want a referral because it's something that I've been afraid of, but I've never spoken to you in this much depth about it. Yeah. And I'm really interested because I know that I keep seeing things about antibiotics and things being bad for your body because I actually take a lot of antibiotics. Whenever a doctor gives me them, I'm like, give me them because I just want to get better. I'm such a crazy mind person in terms of like my mind's racing all the time. I don't have time to be sick. That's how I feel a lot of the time. Yeah. Especially with the rebrand because we've got so much going on, haven't we?
There's a lot going on.
I couldn't do it without you though, Sophie.
Well, I'm loving this opportunity to just help, just be a sounding board, be a bit of a mentor. I've helped a lot of businesses, You're
going to help me switch from what I was to what I want to be, which is so good for me because I literally I love it.
I think also being your authentic self is really important from a health point of view.
Yeah.
You know, if you suppress who you truly are, if you don't put out into the world who you truly are, like particularly women, we suppress our voices a lot, and we're told not to speak out. And that's why I think it's incredible what you're doing with this podcast. And I think guys as well, you know, they are sometimes afraid to speak out or speak their truth.
Exactly.
And this can have detrimental effects on the body. If you're pushing that voice down and suppressing it, it can really affect you from an emotional standpoint and from a physiological standpoint.
True. And I think these days social media like just makes people think they need to be a certain way, or it makes life a lot harder because you're always trying to fit into a mold. And like, I'm quite thick skinned, but a lot of people get really caught up with trolling, whatever it's called. And that can really affect how you present yourself too, because it's almost like if someone keeps telling you you're so this, you're so that, then you kind of want to stop being like that. But actually you're not so this, so that. It's just what people are saying.
I think you are one of the most thick-skinned people there is. You really are. You're very resilient.
Do you know how I'm so
I am not. I'm not. My skin is like paper thin.
Don't say that.
Don't send me any nasty comments.
They love it when you cry or when you feel shit. The trolls are like, "Yes, I've won." But
it's good to cry. It's good to cry. It lets the toxins out.
Yeah,
it lets the stress out. Like men and women should cry. Like particularly when I was going through my third misdiagnosis, I was crying every other day, you know, every other day. And it was a process of letting this trauma out. Yeah. And even one of the reasons I came on today was I thought this is going to be a bit of therapy for me. Yeah. Like, you know, I've kind of not talked about this part publicly. Yes, I've done health radio shows where I've kept very much to what to eat, have an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory diet, you know, avoid chemical sun creams, stick to the natural SPFs, wear a hat. You know, I've talked about it in that respect, but I haven't talked about my own personal experience. And I think I just want to say thank you.
Yeah. What?
Well, giving me this platform, because I think it's a release for me, isn't it?
I'm so grateful you feel comfortable to release here. But I also we need to talk about SPF actually, and sun cream and sunglasses and all of that, because well, we both loved the sun when we were younger.
I still love the sun.
Me too.
And we shouldn't be scared of the sun. We are getting a form of medicine from the complete full spectrum sunlight. However, there has been a lot of misinformation out there, which is also why I didn't come out and talk about this 10 years ago, because I wanted to see if science was actually catching up. Yeah. And now we're seeing that in some forms of skin cancer, so melanoma, which is not the type that you or I had.
That's the serious one, isn't it?
It's actually a lack of vitamin D. And we get vitamin D from natural sunlight. Yeah, no, don't worry. I've probably gone into teacher mode.
No, it's nothing. It's because you said vitamin D. I don't know.
What's wrong with saying vitamin
I'll tell you later.
Okay. What is it? I don't know what I know vitamin D as a hormone from the sun.
No, when people say vitamin D, it means they need...
Oh, do they need...
Yeah.
This is going to be the best outtake ever.
I tried so hard not to laugh. I don't know why.
I'm the last person to know. I'm the last person to know. I am going to have to talk about vitamin D. So this is serious.
Talk about real vitamin D.
Okay.
Love that.
Okay.
So yeah.
So basically, we need to be in natural sunlight, full spectrum sunlight. It is actually part of the healing process because we get natural vitamin D from there. Good. So if you think about hospitals in the generation before us, people had these solar platforms to convalesce in. So the beds were actually pulled out into the sunlight and people went to the seaside to rest and repair. And now the studies that are coming out show that if that sunlight goes through glass, it actually affects the health benefits. So it's much better to be in natural daylight and not have the sun coming through glass. And
so that can still affect you?
Yeah, that can change the profile. And while we're talking about sunglasses, what is also now coming out in the latest research is that, I wore sunglasses a lot. I worked in the fashion industry. I love sunglasses. But I stopped wearing them a few years ago because I started to understand that our eyes need to recognize the signal from the natural sunlight in order to produce a hormone called melanin, which naturally protects us from the sun's rays. So we're going around, the majority of people are going around wearing dark sunglasses all the time. So our body is not recognizing the powerful rays from the sun and not producing that skin protecting chemical. So what I would suggest for people is get out early, get that natural sunlight early around 9 a.m. Don't wear sunglasses in the early morning. I understand people need to wear them during the heat of the day. Driving and things, Driving when the sun's really bright. Yes, of course, you need to protect your eyes. But also, don't sit in the midday sun. So try and get the sunlight early around 9, 10 a.m. and then after kind of 3:30, 4 p.m. and just get your skin used to the sun. And then diet is really important to have a high antioxidant, anti-inflammatory diet. So full of lots of fruits and vegetables that have these skin protecting effects. So we're really trying to nourish the skin and get natural protection up with a high antioxidant diet. And avoid the chemical sunscreens. SPF 100% has a place. I have SPF in my makeup and I wear a hat and I wear sunglasses a little bit. But I try not to sit out in the midday sun, and I try and avoid chemical sunscreens because everything gets absorbed through our skin. And those chemicals can affect the hormones in our body, and some of these cancers can be hormone dependent cancers. So there are brands out there that offer natural SPF. I've really loved this podcast because I feel like, although I love talking to you about our experiences, I do feel like people will get a lot from it and be more careful, because just like us, we used to have actual tanning competition. My sister was always the winner. She would literally go so dark and we'd be like, no, literally. And all these oils you can buy and stuff. But I think there's so much more, like obviously we're talking 20 years ago, but now there's so much more awareness around, there's social media and all this. So if we can literally spread the word and you just have to be more careful. No one's saying don't go in the sun. No one's saying hide away or, whatever, just be careful. And I think that's the main thing, because you've got two really different examples of how it can go. And we did also both use sunbeds, didn't we? I don't use them anymore. You don't. And I regret using them. Me too. It definitely contributed. I probably had, a handful of them in London, a handful of them in Newcastle. And that definitely was a contributing factor. But as the food industry has changed, the incidence of skin cancer has gone up. So I don't know if you've heard about seed oils. They're very inflammatory. So they're in a lot of processed foods. So again, I would say look at the labels. Try and avoid these seed oils and processed foods, because they're very inflammatory. And that's another tip. I feel like you're going to have loads of new clients now. Everyone's going to be like, Sophie. But I just wanted to say it's been so lovely having you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for being my mentor and my guidance and everything. And I've loved having you on, Soph. My pleasure. Thank you. Please, can you all make sure you like and subscribe the channel and follow us on all the socials at Spread the Juice, all across Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Threads.
a Snapchat. I don't think there's a single platform we're not on. So yeah, please make sure you share. It really does help to support the channel. Comment anything that you're thinking. If you want to write anything beneath the video, that'd be much appreciated too. Thank you.